So this is the second video I'm doing on division without using a calculator. In the first video I looked at short division, and in this video we're going to be looking at long division. So we're going to be dividing whole numbers using long division and comparing this to the short division approach we used in the previous video. And we'll do this using the same questions that we used in the previous video. We'll also be using long division to solve division problems that produce remainders. Here are the 6 questions that we looked at in the previous video using the short division method. I'm going to go through each of these questions using the long division approach. We'll begin with 834 divided by 3. Here's the short division approach and answer. Now let's try using the long division approach. So we set the problem out as we've done before. And as before, we will start by working from left to right. So the first thing we do is 8 divided by 3. Well, how many times does 8 go into 3? Now we know that 2 3s are 6. And look at how we create the remainder. 3 2s are 6. We write the 6 under the 8 and then subtract it, which gives us the answer 2, which of course is our remainder, which we can see here in our short division answer. We now bring the 3 down from the original number, and we're going to be doing 23 divided by 3. We know that 3 goes into 23 7 times with a bit left over. And to work out that bit, well, we know that 3 multiplied by 7 is 21. We subtract that from 23, and that gives us our remainder 2. And here's that 2 in our short division answer. We now bring the 4 down. And we have 24 divided by 3, or how many 3's go into 24, and of course the answer is 8. 8 3's are 24. And if we take that 24 away from 24, we've got nothing left over. I'll go through one more question. I'll do the 1000 divided by 8. We'll set the question out as before, working from left to right. 1 divided by 8. Well, 1 is less than 8, so I'm going to put a 0 up here, and we're going to do 10 divided by 8. And 8 goes into 10 once. So 1 multiplied by 8 is 8. We'll write it down here, and we do 10 subtract 8, which is equal to 2. And that gives us our remainder. And here's our remainder shown in the short division approach. We now bring the 0 down, so we're now doing 20 divided by 8. And we know that 8 goes into 22 times. 2 8s are 16. We subtract that 16 from the 20, and we get our remainder of 4. And there's our remainder in our short division answer. We now bring the 0 down, and we do 40 divided by 8, which we know is equal to 5. 5 8s are 40. And if we subtract that 40 away from 40, we get nothing left over. So what's happening is that we're producing the same remainders and the same calculations, but it's laid out more clearly. It's not all bunched up as we've got in the short division answer. But if we look at these 2 approaches in this particular example, we started off with 1 divided by 8, which we know, well, 1 is less than 8, so we put a 0 down, and we do 10 divided by 8. Which we know is equal to 1 with 2 left over. In the short division approach, we just wrote the 2 next to the 0. But in the long division approach, we actually wrote down what 1/8 is, and then we subtracted it away from 10 to get our remainder that way. Our next calculation was then doing the 20 divided by 8. And in the long division approach, we created 20 by bringing the 0 down. And then 20 divided by 8 is 2. 2 8s are 16. And that leaves us with a remainder of 4. And so we wrote the 4 up here in the short division approach, but in the long division approach, we wrote it down as a calculation. And then in the long division approach, we had to bring the final naught down to give us 40. And then we did 40 divided by 8, which is equal to 5. And then in the long division approach, of course, we then took that 40 away from the 40 that was already there to produce naught, which tells us that there is no remainder. I must admit that for questions like this, I tend to use the short division process, largely because we're dealing with smaller numbers. I generally use long division when dividing by two-digit numbers, because they tend to produce trickier calculations, as shown here. But for the purposes of understanding the process, we'll keep the questions relatively simple. I'll do one more question, then I'll let you have a go at doing the other three. 645 divided by 5. Here's the short division answer. Now let's do the same problem using long division. So we begin with 6 divided by 5. 5 into 6 is 1, because 1 5 is 5. And if we take that 5 away from 6, we're left with a remainder of 1. We now bring the 4 down. 14 divided by 5. 5 into 14 is 2, because 2 5s are 10. And if we take that 10 away from 14, we get our remainder of 4. We now bring the 5 down. 45 divided by 5. 5 into 45 is 9, because 9 5s are 45. And if we take that away, we get a remainder of 0. So use this long division approach on the other three questions. So here are the answers. 747 divided by 9. So we do 7 divided by 9. 7 is smaller than 9, so I'm going to put a 0 up the top here above the 7, and we're going to do 74 divided by 9. 9 into 74 is 8, because 8 9s are 72, and if we take that away from 74, we get a remainder of 2. We bring the 7 down. 9 into 27 is 3, because 3 9s are 27. And if we take that 27 away from 27, we have a remainder of 0. 702 divided by 6. 7 divided by 6. Well, 6 into 7 is 1, because 1 6 is 6. And if we take that away, we are left with a remainder of 1. We now bring the 0 down. 10 divided by 6. 6 into 10 is 1, because 1 6 is 6. And if we take that away, we're left with a remainder of 4. We bring the 2 down. 42 divided by 6. Well, 6 into 42 is 7, because 7 6 are 42. And if we take that 42 away from 42, we are left with a remainder of 0. 546 divided by 7. We begin with 5 divided by 7. Well, 5 is less than 7, so I'm going to put a 0 above the 5, and we're going to do 54 divided by 7. Well, 7 into 54 is 7, because 7 7s are 49. And if we take 49 away from 54, we get a remainder of 5. We now bring the 6 down. We're now doing 56 divided by 7. 7 into 56 is 8, because 8 7s are 56. And if we take that 56 away from 56, we are left with a remainder of 0. So I'm going to do 3 more questions. 922 divided by 8. So set the question out. I'm going to use long division. 9 divided by 8. Well, 8 into 9 is 1, because 1 8 is 8. there's a remainder of 1. I bring the 2 down. I now do 12 divided by 8. 8 into 12 is 1, because 1/8 is 8. And we have a remainder of 4. I bring the 2 down. 8 into 42 is 5, because 5/8 are 40. And we're left with a remainder of 2. 2 is smaller than 8, so that's our remainder. Now in future videos we'll be looking into how to tackle remainders, and that will take us into the world of decimals. But for the time being, let's just write this as a remainder. 922 divided by 8 is 115 remainder 2. 454 divided by 6. So we've got 4 divided by 6. Well, 4 is less than 6, so I'm going to put a 0 at the top here, and we're going to do 45 divided by 6. 6 into 45 is 7, because 7 6s are 42. And if we take that away, we get a remainder of 3. We now bring the 4 down. 34 divided by 6. 6 goes into 34 5 times, because 5 6s are 30. Take that away from 34, and we're left with a remainder of 4. 4 is smaller than 6, so we can't take this any further in remainder form. So we can write this as 454 divided by 6 is equal to 75 remainder 4. And finally, 523 divided by 3. We begin with 5 divided by 3. 3 into 5 is 1, because 1 3 is 3. And if we take that away, we get a remainder of 2. We bring the 2 down. 22 divided by 3. Well, 3 into 22 is 7, because 7 3s are 21. And if we take that away from 22, we get a remainder of 1. We bring the 3 down. 13 divided by 3. 3 into 13 is 4, because 4 3s are 12. And if we take that 12 away from 13, we end up with a remainder of 1. And because 1 is smaller than 3, that's going to be our remainder. 523 divided by 3 is equal to 174 remainder 1. So there's an introduction to long division. I think it's worth familiarising yourself with both approaches, and do what I do. Use the approach that you think is more suitable for the question that you are answering. But that's it for now. I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching.